For the youngsters of the valley, life in Pawarenga isn't always positive. The temptations of rural life can be difficult to deal with. In Pawarenga, as in other communities, people can sometimes be their own worst enemies. It's an open secret a new threat is emerging. Electric puha, marijuana.
To start off with, it was really hard for our community to come to terms with that. And now, I think people have realised that, first of all, it's a new thing, and people are growing because they see it as a way of getting extra money. But at the same time, it's just a very few within the community. And I think it is a follow-on from the fact that there isn't work. And if there was just actually more work out there, a lot of those young people wouldn't be here. They would just go out and they would get a job. But having said that, it also seems to me that if we're not careful, after 4 or 5 years, then that becomes an actual pattern of life. And it also becomes a role model for our young people, for our really young people. And that has to be a matter of concern, not only just for Pawarenga, but for everybody.
The rebirth of a canoe culture symbolises the remarkable progress in Pawarenga. What started out as a work training scheme simply to make the fiberglass canoes has grown beyond anyone's expectations. The canoes link Pawarenga's past with its future. The people here not only build the outriggers for other clubs around the country, their club are the New Zealand Sprint Champions.
What it has done for our young people and for the community is that it has actually taken them out of this rather insulated, insular world of Pawarenga. It's taken them out to other parts of New Zealand, to Gisborne, to Okahu Bay. It's taken them to Hawaii. And I actually think that that was one of the most wonderful things that ever happened, that people who had hardly even seen themselves as going to Auckland or Wellington went to Hawaii as one big ope, and now they're planning to go to San Diego in 2 years. So that's the other side. These are the same young people we're talking about who are starting to shift from that, what could be seen as that negative thing of growing dope and whatever. Some of them are starting to shift into doing other sort of more positive things. And you've got to see that as really healthy and good.
Move it out, move it out.
Low tide, Wednesday afternoon. And the young men of Pawarenga are fully employed.
Little circles. Yep. It's us.
It's practice time for the local league team. They're called the Broncos, and they're the pride of Pawarenga. The league gives them more than just something to do. It's a chance to excel and to travel as a team around neighbouring Northland. Many of them have come back from the cities when the jobs disappeared. Team manager George Hunia used to live in Auckland. He accepts that his lads won't be here forever.
You know, a lot of these fellas will leave here, go back to the town, any part of town, whether it be Auckland, Wellington, Rotorua, or even Sydney. They'll all come to the same conclusion sooner or later, eh? There's no place like home. What they get from Pawarenga is a sense of what they're about, where they're from, who they are.
George knows the young men of Pawarenga and their pastimes as well as anyone. Is marijuana a problem here, George?
Marijuana? Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Like anywhere else, you've got your smokers, you've got your growers. But a lot of them up here are just smokers anyway. You know, you catch one or two, but the rest nondescript. You could compare the marijuana to the first time the Maori were let were let to have a beer. Were allowed the alcohol. And there's a lot of comparisons between those two.
Is it a serious problem here in Pawarenga?
Oh, it's a problem. Serious? Not yet.
If you were to choose any place to live, where would that place be, George?
Oh, yeah, well, I've only had really two places in the world to live, but Utara was good. But this is my El Dorado now. Yeah, this is where I belong. This is where I intend to stay, and this is where hopefully one day I'll be buried.
Many, in fact, are returning to Pawarenga to rest in peace. During 60 Minutes' visit last week, two of Pawarenga's leaders died within days of each other. John Petty and his aunt Sadie had both spent nearly all their lives here. The service for Sadie showed the community at its best, in a ceremony that was at once Catholic and Maori. For Wati Monsel, who was born amongst these mountains, the future of Pawarenga is as important as its past. That unemployment will be gone from this community?
Well, I think everyone, that's the hope of everyone. But it is a hope. And at the moment, it looks more like a dream, a pipe dream at that. But yes, we live in hope. I think that maybe we could help, but that's up to the government. Because I believe they started paying out the dole money to us, you know, to the young people and that. And that's what's killing the spirit, to my way of looking at it. And that makes everybody lazy. They're going to say, well, I'm going to get $100 next week for not working. Well, you know, they get a bit lazy to go out and look for work. And there are work out there.
Father Gerard Merton speaks plainly. But then in Pawarenga, everyone does.
When you are in the country like Pawarenga, with so many natural resources and so many facilities in many ways, even though we are very isolated, I think there's a danger that if you get a regular benefit packet every fortnight, there is a danger.
I was brought up by my grandfather on the land on which I live now. And although I went away for nearly 20 years, I could always sort of hear, especially, you know, when it's quiet, like in the evenings, I could sort of hear the echoes of my ancestors, you know, saying you're better off back home.
How far are you prepared to go to stay in Pawarenga?
All the way. I would never leave this place. Through thick and thin, hardships or good times, I'm going to stay here. And I seem to get this sort of attitude from the majority of the people here, all ages. They're going to stay here. So, irrespective of what happens, government policy, or the church, or see we're losing our nuns this year, and closing the post office and all that, we're going to stay here, and we will survive.
Pawarenga is certainly no bed of roses. People make mistakes here, and they pay for them. If they can take advantage of the system, they will. But for this reporter, what impresses me is the urge by the old people to come back to rekindle their ties to their tūranga waiwai, to their tribal roots, in an effort to embrace the young people so that they can both walk tall. And for the younger ones here, they're trying to take control of their destiny.